In the beginning, comfort was not a luxury, it was survival. Thousands of years ago, comfort meant warmth after a hunt, shelter from the storm, or food that would last another night. It was nature's reward system. Pain meant danger, comfort meant safety. But as humanity evolved, we didn't stop chasing comfort. We industrialized it. We built systems, machines, and societies designed to eliminate friction, to remove discomfort from every possible part of life. And somewhere along that path, we cross a line. Comfort stopped being a reward and became the default. Look around you. Everything today is engineered for ease. Food delivered with a tap, entertainment available instantly, communication without effort. The chair is softer, the air is warmer, the world is quieter. And yet, people have never felt more restless, more anxious, more empty. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once warned, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But what happens when the how becomes so easy that you no longer need a why? We used to suffer to survive. Now we survive to avoid suffering. And in that inversion lies the beginning of decay, because the human spirit was built in friction. Our ancestors didn't evolve through ease, but through resistance. The same way a muscle grows only when it is torn and rebuilt, the soul strengthens only through discomfort. But we, the modern humans, have insulated ourselves from pain so perfectly that even small inconveniences now feel like tragedies. We rage when the Wi-Fi drops for 10 seconds, when the coffee isn't hot enough, when someone disagrees with us online. We are drowning in comfort, and yet we crave stimulation, scrolling endlessly, binge-watching, seeking dopamine hits like lab rats pressing the same button for pleasure. What was once a shield for survival has become a cage for the mind. Comfort now sedates us, numbs the edge that made us human. We've traded adventure for predictability, growth for pleasure, meaning for convenience. Blaise Pascal once said, "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." And in the modern age, surrounded by screens, convenience, and noise, this statement feels more true than ever. We no longer fear death, we fear boredom. And that, perhaps, is the ultimate sign that comfort has won. Every generation before us dreamed of comfort. They worked the fields, braved the wars, and endured hunger, all in the hope that one day their children would live easier lives. And now, we are those children, the ones who inherited the dream. But instead of liberation, comfort has quietly become our new prison. It's a paradox. The very thing we spent centuries chasing is now what's making us weak, numb, and restless. Because when everything becomes easy, we stop growing. You can't evolve without resistance. A seed doesn't bloom without breaking. A butterfly can't fly unless it first struggles to escape the cocoon. That struggle is not an obstacle, it is the process. Remove it, and you remove life's most essential ingredient, meaning. Comfort kills meaning in 3 invisible ways. 1. Comfort removes the need for effort. When things are easy, effort loses its value. We no longer climb mountains. We watch people do it on YouTube. We don't read entire books. We skim summaries or watch reels that tell us the 5 lessons in 60 seconds. We live in a world that gives rewards instantly. But meaning never comes instantly. Meaning is born through time, through endurance, through effort. When you take the shortcut, you don't just save time, you also lose transformation. Because effort doesn't only achieve the goal, it builds the person capable of achieving it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Yet we've built a society obsessed with eliminating every impediment. And in doing so, we've eliminated the very path to growth. 2. Comfort makes us fragile. Think about this. Our ancestors faced hunger, cold, war, and uncertainty. And somehow, they developed unbreakable resilience. Today, a negative comment online can ruin someone's entire week. Why? Because comfort softens not only the body, but the mind. The more we avoid discomfort, the less we can tolerate it. It's like never training a muscle. it atrophies. And our emotional muscles are no different. Every time we escape difficulty through distraction, entertainment, or excuses, we reinforce weakness. Modern life has removed all friction, climate control, instant gratification, digital validation. But friction was never the enemy, it was the teacher. Stoic philosophers like Epictetus taught that the purpose of discomfort is to reveal your inner strength. You cannot know what you're capable of if life never tests you. But now, life rarely tests us, and so we live untested lives, mistaking comfort for peace. But peace isn't the absence of struggle, it's the mastery of it. 3. Comfort erodes purpose. The most tragic cost of comfort is not boredom or laziness, it's the loss of purpose. When every desire is instantly satisfied, there's no reason to chase anything. We wake up, check notifications, eat, scroll, sleep, repeating the same loop, wondering why we feel empty even though we have everything. Because purpose is born from struggle, from striving towards something that demands more from you than you want to give. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning that those who have a why to live can bear almost anyhow. But when life becomes too comfortable, the why fades. We no longer endure anything worth enduring. And when nothing challenges us, we begin to feel like nothing matters. Ironically, we've conquered external chaos, but created an inner one. Because comfort without meaning is just another form of suffering, one disguised as pleasure. It's not the pain that kills the spirit, it's the absence of it. Pain, struggle, and discomfort are not enemies. They're the raw materials of meaning. Without them, we drift through life like tourists in our own existence. Safe, federal, entertained, but slowly dying inside. The modern tragedy is this. We have mistaken pleasure for happiness and convenience for peace. But deep down, we know we were not built for endless comfort. There's a fire inside the human soul that only ignites in resistance. When life becomes too smooth, too predictable, that fire dims. And a quiet kind of death begins, not of the body, but of the spirit. We stop striving. We stop wondering. We stop becoming. That's the hidden cost of comfort. It kills your need to evolve. And without evolution, you cease to live. The psychology of discomfort. Why pain is the key to freedom. Pain is not your enemy. It's your oldest teacher, the one who speaks the truth you spend your whole life trying not to hear. From the moment you were born, pain has been your compass. You cried, and someone came. You fell, and you learned balance. You failed, and you discovered growth. Discomfort is not a curse. It's the language of evolution. Yet in a world that worships comfort, we've begun to silence that voice. We medicate every sadness, escape every silence, and numb every moment that feels heavy. But by avoiding pain, we also avoid transformation. 1. The paradox of pain. The paradox of pain is simple. The more you try to avoid it, the more it controls you. When you run from discomfort, your world becomes smaller. You say no to challenges, no to risk, no to the unknown, until your life is nothing but a safe, predictable circle of avoidance. And yet, it's that very avoidance that breeds the anxiety you're running from. Epictetus once said, "It is not things that disturb us, but our opinions about things." Pain itself is not the problem. Your relationship with it is. Because pain, in its purest form, is information. It tells you something about your boundaries, your values, your weaknesses. But most people never learn to listen. They only learn to escape. And when you escape pain, you also escape understanding. 2. The biology of discomfort. From a biological perspective, discomfort is the signal that forces adaptation. A muscle grows only when it's torn. The brain rewires itself only when it's challenged. The immune system strengthens only when it's exposed. Everything alive depends on a rhythm of stress and recovery, tension and release. Remove the tension, and the system decays. Modern society has created what psychologists call chronic comfort. We've engineered every aspect of existence to eliminate friction. Automatic doors, climate control, food delivery, social media dopamine loops. It feels like progress, but psychologically, it's regression. Because the human mind is an anti-fragile system. It grows stronger through stress. Nassim Nicholas Taleb describes this in Anti-Fragile. Some things benefit from shocks. They thrive and grow when exposed to volatility, randomness, disorder, and stressors. The human spirit is one of those things. Without friction, it withers. 3. The emotional dimension. Emotionally, pain strips away illusion. When you suffer, the masks fall off. You see who truly cares, what truly matters, and who you really are. Pain reveals your authenticity, not your perfection. Carl Jung wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." You cannot awaken through comfort, because awakening means realizing truths that hurt. The death of your ego, the recognition of your fears, the acceptance of your flaws. That's why people who've suffered deeply often carry a quiet strength. They've walked through fire and found something unbreakable inside them. Discomfort didn't destroy them, it refined them. It stripped them of illusions until only truth remained. 4. Discomfort as a spiritual practice. Every ancient wisdom tradition understood this. The Stoics practiced voluntary discomfort, sleeping on hard floors, fasting, or wearing rough clothes, to train the mind to remain calm under hardship. Buddhists meditate for hours, facing boredom, pain, and the chaos of the mind, because in that discomfort lies awakening. Even modern psychology recognizes this. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is built on the principle of exposure, facing what you fear rather than avoiding it. Why? Because courage is not the absence of fear or pain. It's the ability to stay present within them. That's what makes you free. When you stop fearing discomfort, you stop being controlled by it. Most people are not trapped by circumstance. They're trapped by the avoidance of pain. You can endure anything if you stop believing it shouldn't hurt. 5. The freedom beyond pain. Here's the paradox. The more you allow yourself to feel pain fully, the less it dominates you. Because pain unresisted becomes power. The greatest people in history, philosophers, warriors, artists, saints, all shared one trait. They didn't run from suffering. They transformed it. Friedrich Nietzsche said, "To live is to suffer. To survive is to find some meaning in the suffering." That's the ultimate alchemy of discomfort. It can turn chaos into clarity and pain into wisdom. Every moment of pain holds a message, but you must be still enough to hear it. Because what hurts the most often hides what you need the most. The discomfort you resist today may be the doorway to the freedom you've been searching for. So the next time life hurts, don't rush to numb it. Sit with it. Listen. Let's speak. Because somewhere inside that pain is the lesson that will set you free. Escaping the comfort trap. How to reclaim discipline and purpose in modern life. Modern life is like a golden cage. The bars are soft, the floor is warm, and the food is delivered to your door. But make no mistake, it's still a cage. Comfort has become our quiet addiction. We don't smoke or drink to escape anymore. We scroll. We binge. We overthink. We chase temporary pleasure because we've forgotten how to sit in silence. The truth is, your greatest potential is hiding behind the very discomfort you spend your days avoiding. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you shrink your soul a little more. 1. The illusion of ease. The modern world sells us a dream. Work less, rest more, be happy. But comfort isn't peace, it's sedation. Peace comes from mastery, not from passivity. Yet most of us have become like digital monks of laziness, kneeling before the altar of convenience. We outsource our thinking to algorithms, our motivation to influencers, our meaning to trends. And then we wonder why we feel empty. Because the human spirit was never built for ease. It was built for effort. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacle is the path, but the comfort addict refuses to walk it. 2. Discipline. The art of voluntary discomfort. Discipline is not punishment, it's self-respect. Every act of discipline is a vote for your future self. Waking up early when you don't want to. Training when you're tired. Reading instead of scrolling. These small acts are the bricks that build a mind capable of greatness. Epictetus taught that freedom is not doing whatever you want, it's wanting what you ought to do. True freedom requires structure. When you refuse to be ruled by your impulses, you stop being a slave to comfort. That's what separates the strong from the numb. One chooses discomfort consciously, the other drowns in comfort unconsciously. Discipline is not about control, it's about liberation. Because the moment you master yourself, you stop needing the world to be easy. 3. Modern examples. The silent epidemic of softness. Look around, the signs are everywhere. People can't handle being bored for 10 minutes without grabbing their phone. We complain about mental burnout, yet most of our exhaustion comes not from work but from overstimulation, too much comfort masquerading as busyness. We want results without resistance, muscles without sweat, success without failure, love without rejection. But nature doesn't allow shortcuts. You can't cheat evolution. Every comfort we invent only makes us weaker in the long run. Just look at the difference between a river and a pond. The river flows, resists, adapts, it's alive. The pond stagnates, it rots. Humanity is slowly turning into a pond of comfort. Still, safe, but decaying. 4. The purpose within struggle. Here's the part nobody tells you. Struggle gives life texture. Meaning doesn't come from comfort, it comes from conquest. The Stoics called it eudaimonia, flourishing through virtue and effort. You don't build a meaningful life by chasing what feels good. You build it by enduring what makes you stronger. Viktor Frankl, who survived the concentration camps, wrote, "What man actually needs is not a tensionless state, but rather the striving and struggling for a worthwhile goal." In other words, meaning exists inside the tension. When you eliminate all struggle, you eliminate the conditions that make purpose possible. Your pain is the proof that you still care. Your discomfort is the signal that something inside you wants to evolve. 5. Practical ways to escape the trap. Escaping the comfort trap doesn't mean moving to a cave or deleting your phone. It means reclaiming your agency. Take cold showers, not because they're trendy, but because they remind you that you can choose discomfort. Work out, not for aesthetics, but to prove to your body that it obeys your mind. Meditate, to sit with silence instead of running from it. Read, to strengthen the mind that the world wants to distract. Create, because creation is the antidote to consumption. You don't need to be perfect, just intentional. Choose something uncomfortable every day, something that reminds you you're alive. 6. The modern warrior. To live fully in the 21st century, you must become a warrior of attention. You fight not with swords or shields, but with awareness, presence, and intention. Every time you resist distraction, you reclaim a piece of your humanity. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you sharpen your spirit. Nietzsche once said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow." The problem today is not that we suffer too much, it's that we suffer for nothing. Reclaim your why, and you'll transform suffering into strength. Because the truth is, comfort doesn't love you back. It only keeps you quiet while it kills your potential. 7. Closing, the return to challenge. So maybe it's time to stop asking for things to be easier. Maybe the point isn't to make life comfortable, but to become someone who doesn't need it to be. Because somewhere deep down, you already know, the fire that burns you is the same fire that forges you. Comfort makes you soft. Struggle makes you real. So don't chase an easy life. Chase a meaningful one. That's where your power lives. The final reflection, awakening from the comfort illusion. There's a story about a frog placed in a pot of water. If you throw it into boiling water, it jumps out immediately. But if you slowly heat the water, it won't notice until it's too late. Comfort works the same way. It doesn't kill you all at once. It does it quietly, one Netflix episode, one skipped workout, one I'll start tomorrow at a time. And before you realize it, the fire inside you, the hunger, the drive, the edge has gone cold. Not because life broke you, but because comfort lulled you to sleep. 1. The slow death of potential. Every time you choose what's easy, you betray the version of yourself that could have been extraordinary. You don't need to climb mountains or start revolutions. You just need to stop settling for the illusion of peace that comfort sells you. Because real peace doesn't come from escaping the storm. It comes from learning how to stand in the middle of it, unshaken. Epictetus said, "Don't wish for events to happen as you wish, but wish them to happen as they do, and your life will flow well." That's not just acceptance, that's strength. The acceptance of chaos is what makes a person truly alive. 2. The modern tragedy. We've mistaken sedation for serenity. We've traded meaning for dopamine. We've convinced ourselves that being comfortable is being happy. But happiness without purpose is just anesthesia. And most people today are not living, they're numbing. They wake up, consume, scroll, repeat, waiting for motivation to appear, when motivation is born only in movement. The tragedy isn't that people fail. The tragedy is that they never begin. They never test the strength they could have had. They never meet the person they could have become. 3. The awakening. So maybe right now you're feeling it, that quiet discomfort inside you. That voice whispering, "You were made for more." Listen to it. That's not anxiety. That's your potential calling for resurrection. Because discomfort is not your enemy, it's your compass. Follow it. Every great philosopher, warrior, and artist who ever lived knew this truth. Comfort kills creation. You can't build something meaningful while hiding from resistance. And that includes yourself. 4. A challenge for you. So here's a question, not rhetorical, but real. What is one thing in your life that's too comfortable right now? What's one small battle you've been avoiding because it's inconvenient, scary, or uncomfortable? Write it down. Face it tomorrow. Not for the algorithm, not for validation, but for you. Because if you can win that one battle, you'll remember what it feels like to be alive again. And once you taste that, you'll never want comfort again. 5. Closing reflection. In a world obsessed with pleasure, the new rebellion is pain. In a culture that worships comfort, the new power is discipline. And in a generation that fears silence, the new wisdom is stillness. So, as you finish this video, ask yourself one question. Am I living, or am I slowly dying in comfort? Because the difference between those two is only one brave decision away. If this made you pause for a moment, don't just scroll, reflect. And if you want more reflections like this, subscribe. Not for entertainment, but for evolution. Until next time, stay uncomfortable.